JBN, we keep you informed. The day Mike Henry was shot in York Town Clarendon. Look at this finger, the veteran politician said, extending his left index finger to reveal an area of sunken skin. This is a pellet. Henry, 84, is the first Jamaican politician to be shot during a general election campaign, an incident that marked a new phase in Jamaican politics and left him pondering his future in the profession in which he made his name. Mike Henry recalled the harrowing incident. When I was announcing the candidate Lloyd Mayors in Clarendon, I can remember clearly seeing someone on the phone in Four Parts, obviously speaking to someone in Yorktown. Prior to this in Yorktown, I had perhaps made a mistake of confronting a Peoples National Pary motorcade and making it divert. Of course, you shouldn't make those kinds of challenges in those days, Henry said. Though there were rumors as to what was going to happen. There were rumors as to who was going to be shot. We were on a motorcade moving into Yorktown, and I was heading up the advance team in the motorcade that was making the announcements 15 minutes before Eddie Siaga, Percy Broderick, and the others came through, he continued. It got to a point when a stone came over and hit one of the vehicles. Knowing that the leader Siaga and the others were following, I wanted to make absolutely sure of what the situation was. So I paused and asked the security to make sure that everything was in place. I got out of my vehicle and asked where the stone came from, and they pointed towards the house where this gentleman lived. I started to walk there, and to this day I will never forget. Once you hear the shot, you know you're still alive, but by then I had not been experienced enough being shot, so I didn't really know, he said, attempting to make light of the situation. I suddenly heard an explosion and felt a sting and saw blood everywhere. The young man beside me, Tiddly Watson, whose son Levon plays football for Jamaica, was my youth leader. His eye was shot. He later went blind in that eye, and there's nothing worse than losing your sight, said Henry. The incident left him badly shaken, but the politician pulled through. Henry walks with a limp as a result of the shooting. Later lost the election for the then newly created Central Clarendon seat by 884 votes to the Peoples National Pary Orville DOD Ramtali. It marked the only time that he lost an election, making him and another JLP stalwart, Carl Smuda, who once switched allegiance to the PNP, the longest serving members of Parliament. I am told I am alive today because the bird season had been cancelled in terms of shooting using the double-barreled shotgun, and therefore the penetrative effect of the bullets were not strong enough to have done me greater damage, Henry said. Up to now, I still have pellets that come out of my body. Why? The doctors said they didn't do some operations. Is that the body repels lead, therefore it pushes it back up. So since I took the full blast of the double-barreled shotgun, I have hundreds of pellets still in my body. You will see me even walk with a limp, said Henry, who remembers very little from the point of impact to when he found himself on a hospital bed. The only thing I heard them, the security says, take the gun and get out of here. I knew nothing else, except that I woke up in the Mapen Hospital and they had to rush me to Kingston. They didn't have any ambulance, so they had to get the Jamalco ambulance, and that guy was driving so fast that I'm wondering if I would survive the bullets and then end up dying in an accident. It was my first experience, and I didn't know how serious any of the injuries were. Henry said while the gunman was firing at him, he instinctively placed his hands on the crotch of his pants, invariably to protect his scrotal area. After that, they brought me to Kingston, and I recovered 2 weeks later. I was incapacitated during that election campaign. So I campaigned in that 1976 election on crutches because I also had an accident that broke my leg. My theme then was ballots, not bullets, Henry said. Henry, the managing director of LMH Lester Michael Henry Publishing, started working with the JLP in 1972 prior to the election that saw the PNP under new leader Michael Manley ending a 2-term run by the Labour Party. He had been running the largest chain of fast food restaurants called Mike's, home of the famous Nyamburger, which involved sidewalk dining, a 24-hour service, and free newspapers on Sundays, among other things. The success of the food chain prompted a suggestion from his close friend Derek Mahfood that he entered elective politics. He took my food out but lost out in a race for the Central St. Catherine constituency by 2 votes in an election held in Tivoli Gardens. When I went to Spanish Town, it was Abe Abdul who was supposed to be leading the charge for the JLP. It turned out that Granville Williams was there, trying to challenge for the seat. In the run-up, it became pretty volatile, and that was the first selection process that was not held in a constituency. They moved it to Tivoli, and a branch was established overnight, and I lost by 2 votes, he said. Trouble started brewing too when he formed the Dockers and Marine Workers Union with Paul Scully Scott, which soon resulted in the unionizing of most of the Balana workers at Oracabessa in the heart of PMP territory in Western St. Mary. But politics was his scene, and Henry stepped up the pace in a bid to get elected. Soon after, the Beckford and Smith, now St. Jago High School past student, who holds the distinction of leading the school to his first Sunlight Cup cricket title when he captained the team during the 1950s, headed to Clarendon, where his family roots were entrenched, following prompting from JLP top-notches Percy Broderick and Bruce Golding. Taking on the large central Clarendon seat had huge geographical challenges. Difficulties in political ideology didn't make things any easier for Henry either, as he experienced other violent acts that often characterized political campaigning. I rented Miss Gatti's house in Moko, but the house was set on fire and partially burnt one night. The bedroom that I used to sleep in was sprayed with M16 bullets. The only reason I wasn't at home that night was when I got to Fort Pass. Somebody told me that it wouldn't be wise to bother to go home tonight, as there were so many activities around, Henry stated. Describing the kind of politics that marked the 1976 election campaign as confrontational, Henry's emotion showed when he reflected on the slaughter one night when 9 people were shot dead and 26 houses burned to the ground during a motorcade in Maypen, the Clarendon capital, as then PMP President and Prime Minister Michael Manley's team passed through Western Park. In fact, we had a mass funeral for the people 3 weeks later. That was sad. I also saw my publishing business burned to the ground in Kingston and political signs put up, he said. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily uploads.